Welcome back to the Ink and Imagination podcast. Today we'll dive into the article, The Kite Runner, The Fate of Strange and Cruel Relationships. To be honest, this is the first time I have read a book about war, and also the first time I've read a novel primarily set in a Middle Eastern country that I don't know much about, Afghanistan. While reading The Kite Runner, every page felt like it pulled me along until I reached the final one, and I was overwhelmed with countless emotions. They were chaotic, conflicted, and made it difficult for me to know where to begin as I wrote this review. Therefore, perhaps the best approach is to let my emotions guide me through the journey of recalling and organizing my thoughts about this book. The first element that Hosseini uses to immerse readers into the story and introduce them to its world was, for me, a pleasant surprise. It is a depiction of a peaceful, calm, and beautiful Afghanistan, a place where the people live lives as ordinary as those in many other parts of the world. I think that from the moment I became aware of world events and began watching the news, my image of Afghanistan had been shaped by fragments of reports, a nation plagued by violence, suicide bombings, executions, and terrifying guns patrolling its streets. These memories only added to my astonishment when confronted with the image of an Afghanistan that had once been shrouded in peace. Against this backdrop, the lives of Amir and his close friend Hassan emerge. Amir is a Pashtun and comes from an aristocratic background, while Hassan comes from a humble and poor family. He is a Hazara, a minority group considered inferior by many. Hassan's father, Ali, is Amir's father's servant, and Hassan's family lives in a servant's quarters on the grounds of Amir's house. Reading about the childhoods of these two characters, I constantly asked myself, why would two people with such vastly different social backgrounds become such close friends? My suspicions grew even stronger upon discovering that they shared the same mother's milk as infants. Afghans have a saying, "There is a brotherhood among people who share the same mother's milk, a bond of kinship that even time cannot break." Hassan and I shared the same breast. We took our first steps on the same patch of grass in the same courtyard. Under the same roof, we uttered our first words. My first word was Baba. His was Amir, my name. Could it be that the friendship between these two people represents a special bond, intertwined with secrets not everyone knows? Indeed, upon finishing the novel, I was shocked to discover this buried secret, so unexpected, so layered, that I could only describe the relationship between Amir and Hassan with one word: strange. Strange because their connection is entangled with invisible threads of other relationships, bonds of kinship, shared blood, and societal prejudice. Were they truly friends, or was their connection something far more complex? And indeed, it is because of the strangeness and cruelty of their relationship that readers can explore Amir and Hassan's special thoughts and actions. These are not simply acts of friendship. It is the pure, unreciprocated, innocent love that Hassan has for Amir. It is Amir's feelings of jealousy, his moments of envy, particularly when he sees the affection his father shows for Hassan. Most importantly, the strangeness of this relationship sets the stage for pivotal turning points in the lives of these characters, forcing them to endure suffering, torment, and regret. Amir, in particular, must live with guilt and haunting memories for much of his life. Amir's cowardice is evident on the day he won the kite flying contest, the day when, instead of strengthening their bond, the friendship should have brought the two even closer. It is a chain of selfish, cruel actions on Amir's part, continually blaming and framing Hassan for acts he did not commit, leading to the expulsion of Hassan and his father from their home. On the day that Ali and his son moved away, it rained heavily. Amir pressed his face against the window pane, watching Baba's car take his friends away. I can't know for sure what was going through Amir's mind at that moment, but I believe that feelings of torment, shame, and regret were beginning to creep into his soul. These feelings grew, expanding in his heart until they accompanied him to the distant United States, when he and Baba fled Afghanistan due to political upheaval. In America, Amir and Baba lived a life of hardship. They struggled to make ends meet by selling even the most inexpensive second-hand items. Amir grew up, got into college, and started his own small family. However, the haunting memories of his homeland and the actions he had taken there continued to cling to him. These memories were so vivid and real that every situation he encountered and every choice he made would trigger connections to the images, words, and actions of Hassan. It was as if a ghost weighed heavily on his soul, so much so that even thousands of miles away, the memories of his past felt as clear and fresh as if they had happened just yesterday. These feelings drove Amir to return to his homeland, as part of his journey of redemption. There is always a way back to goodness. Rahim Khan. It was a journey back filled with pain, hardship, and moments of intense internal struggle. Amir found himself wrestling with the conflicts inside him, fighting to overcome the haunting cowardice that had plagued him for so long. Throughout this journey, Amir's mind was constantly consumed by the voices of Hassan, Baba, and Rahim Khan. He used their words as his compass, and their teachings became embedded in every action he took in his homeland. These were not just lessons for him. They carried promises, desires to live with integrity, and the yearning to atone for his sins. As Rahim Khan said, "There's always a way back to goodness. A person without conscience, without kindness, will never know suffering." These words came from a man who deeply understood Amir, a figure of compassion and forgiveness. During his journey, Amir came to understand these words, allowing them to cut deeply into his heart. They transformed him from a hesitant man unsure of his decisions into a person of fierce determination. Amir did not lack other choices. Rather, among countless paths, he chose the most difficult one, the most challenging yet the most meaningful path. That path was returning to Kabul, now immersed in gunfire, poverty, and chaos, to find Hassan's son and do what needed to be done. One could say that Amir began as a man haunted by his own failures, a betrayer, a deceiver. But through this journey, he came to a realization. He needed to do something to atone for his sins. His path of redemption had begun. Yet the price of his mistakes was always steep. Amir would lose many of his closest loved ones on this path. We speak of Amir's return journey as one of shedding the veil of cowardice, of confronting the guilt he had caused, and of trying to make amends. We also see how deeply he valued Baba's lessons, particularly the lesson about theft. There is only one crime, and it is theft. All other crimes are merely variations of theft. When you kill a man, you steal a life. When you steal the love of a woman, you deprive a child of a father. When you lie, you steal the right of someone to know the truth. When you deceive, you steal the right to honesty. There is no crime worse than theft, Amir. But ironically, Baba himself had committed this very crime, though he was never fortunate enough to be given a second chance to atone for it. Unlike Amir. Throughout the work, readers can perceive the intricate, binding connections infused with religious undertones that define the lives of the people in this story. These connections encompass relationships with family, blood ties, the bonds between individuals and their communities, their nation, and their faith in divinity and local traditions. They play vital roles, serving as the driving force behind the thoughts, beliefs, and actions of the story's characters. Although these traditional beliefs and values may seem outdated, they represent faith, the essence of every Afghan's identity, and the unbreakable threads of heritage that cannot be denied or abandoned. From this, readers can see the Islamic culture in general, and Afghan culture in particular, portrayed vividly, authentically, and in a way that feels intimate despite having almost no connection with Vietnam. This portrayal conveys a sense of closeness, as if the culture transcends geographic boundaries. Not only are these beliefs and relationships central to the story, but war also emerges as a prominent and pervasive element throughout. War brings with it immense suffering and pain, so heartbreaking at times that readers cannot help but feel sorrow. Everything the Afghan people have endured is loss, the loss of loved ones, homes, their homeland, and the beautiful, tranquil days of their past. Yet, despite the constant presence of bombings and violence and the threat of the Taliban's weapons, the Afghan people have managed to retain their sense of humor, faith, and resilience. They remain steadfast in their beliefs and their determination to one day see peace restored to their nation. A hope for a brighter future in the land of their homeland. They dream of the possibility of returning to a more beautiful and hopeful existence, much like the vision expressed in a letter from Hassan to Amir. "I dream of my son growing up to be a good man, a free man, and an important man. I dream of the lala flowers blooming on the streets of Kabul, of rhubarb music playing once more in the tea houses and kites flying again in the sky. I dream that one day you will return to Kabul to visit the land of our childhood. If you return, you will find an old, loyal friend waiting for you. Hassan's dreams mirror the collective dreams of the Afghan people. His loyalty and kindness are symbolic, a call that resonates deeply within the hearts of thousands, awakening their hopes and dreams. For you, 1,000 times over. An iconic symbol in the story is the image of kite flying and its symbolic meanings. Kites are featured prominently throughout the novel, but two instances stand out the most. The first is the kite of victory, representing Amir's desire to earn his father Baba's love and attention, a symbol of friendship and emotional connection, for you, 1,000 times over. However, this same kite also represents betrayal and guilt, leading Amir down a path of moral wrongdoing. The second kite is far less burdened with guilt. It is the kite that Amir shares in a joyful kite fighting match with Hassan's son after Amir brings the boy to live with his family in America. Unlike the first kite, this one symbolizes pure hope, a vision of a better, brighter future where Amir and Sohrab can live happily, free from pain and remorse. Beyond that, the kite carries Amir's quiet hope for Afghanistan, a land without violence, a homeland restored to its former beauty, one day, so he might return and embrace it once more. Conclusion. Through this story, alongside exposing the horrors of war and the crimes it leaves behind, Khaled Hosseini subtly conveys his empathy and sorrow for his homeland's people, their suffering, hardships, and the burdens they endure under oppressive circumstances, harsh traditions, and discrimination. The novel has touched the hearts of many Vietnamese readers. Not by accident. The Kite Runner delves into war crimes, shattered lives, and destinies lost to the relentless cycle of violence. Concepts that are strikingly familiar to the Vietnamese people due to their own history. This shared experience allows readers to deeply empathize with the suffering of the Afghan people. Ironically, even after more than 20 years since the time depicted in The Kite Runner, the fate of the Afghan people remains uncertain, still battling hardship and suffering. As long as uncertainty persists, the Afghan people will continue to face struggles, tragedies, and an unyielding fight for peace, a reality that resonates deeply with readers who see parallels to their own shared struggles.